Hello and happy Monday. I am so excited to share the fourth installment about the lastly mentioned, but not third most important component of Born to Badass, my signature program I'm running currently that makes me so excited. I cannot share how much the component of boundaries is transformational. And I say that because if you look to any circumstance or any experience that was not your favorite, it's quite likely you can trace the origin of why it really didn't fit, why there was friction, why there was turmoil, or frankly, like why it sucked, back to either bending a boundary that you have, that you, for any number of reasons, put to the side, usually in favor of someone else's comfort, or you just literally have no boundaries or don't even really know what that would be like. Maybe you find yourself saying yes because you just know it's more convenient or it's easier. And the truth I have to say about boundaries is for a long time, they are super inconvenient for other people. They're not that inconvenient for you. Why? Because the boundaries that you create are all about the things that actually work for you. And when you decide to operate and live in a world that works for you, everything that you do works better. And in turn, and people will not see it right away, or maybe ever, you actually have stronger relationships because when you show up in a boundaried way, you're not giving something that you're actually unwilling to give. You're not showing up physically or energetically or in any other way than what actually works for you. And this goes in your relationships. This works in your health. You ever been out for a meal and ate something you didn't really want to because it was easier for the group or for the host? We go up against our own boundaries, our own beliefs, and what we really want to be bringing to our lives constantly. And it's all or largely out of necessity to preserve the feelings of others. And when we are living in a way that centers around other people's needs, we have a life that looks like something someone else wants. And that is a huge breeding ground for living inauthentically, for attracting misaligned energy, opportunities, and experiences. So the boundaries that you may be wanting to enforce, maybe wanting to create, maybe even just wanting to investigate, like what would it feel like to do things that were respectful and honoring of who you are? These questions, whether you're 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and the list goes on, right? You can learn how to have boundaries in older age. But if you are really curious about how to have boundaries, I deeply encourage you to spend some time with a toddler. Their boundaries are like, at least my daughter's boundaries are really, really clear. She will not leave the couch if her socks are not put on correctly. She will not enter a building without taking her coat off immediately. There are so many things that she is unwilling to do, that she is unwilling to compromise on. And could someone call her difficult? Yes. Could I call her difficult sometimes? Absolutely. But the clarity in what she's willing and unwilling to accept, obviously, if she's doing something unsafe, I protect her. But I continue to be really curious about what it looks like from her own authentic self to show up in the world, doing and living and really being exactly who and what she wants. She certainly does not express for concern for if her actions will cause upset, because she's more committed to what she wants and what her life feels like than what someone else wants and what someone else needs to feel like. She does not put other people's feelings ahead of her own And I guarantee you, she is much more free. Her life, while there are many factors out of her control, right? She's 4, newly 4. There are so many factors that she is willing to take under her command. And I learn a lot from that. What would it look like to say, no, thank you. That thing I loved to eat yesterday, I do not love anymore. And I don't have to keep eating just because you bought it for me. I do not have to be in a good mood just because we went somewhere fun this morning. That does not mean I'm on my best behavior forever. And it's again, not just freeing, but it's really inspiring, because what I often observe from having really young children, 1.5 and 4, is they do not have the luxury of processing in private. So in many ways, their very lives depend on their boundaries. You know, as grown-ups, we can suck it up, keep it on the inside, and then go on a run or listen to music fast or like eat an entire cake with the refrigerator door open to just burn off that feeling of none of that worked for me, but I got through it. Small children do not have the benefit of a place to run off to, a way to process their emotions in private. They are always with someone else. And before I get into the newsletter, I want to really encourage you thinking about what would it be like if you had no off switch, if everything you felt, everything you experienced was privy to everyone around you. You know, maybe you are shoving down food in your mouth and then just like wanting to spit it out in the bathroom. Maybe you are saying yes to going to an event and then rolling your eyes and talking with your husband incessantly about how you're so glad it's not until a full year later that you'll have to do that bullshit again, right? There are all these ways that we suck it up, we people please to avoid someone else feeling uncomfortable at the expense of our own discomfort. And those are just a few examples of boundaries. But in order to make them, we have to start looking at where are we uncomfortable and how historic is it? Is it a weekly occurrence? Is it a daily occurrence? Is it basically all of the time that we're doing or saying or committing to things that are not aligned with what we desire? So I will make a separate video of the newsletter because this was in-depth enough. And I find that when we're trying to tap into greater connection about something, smaller doses really land, right? It's foreign to consider boundaries if you grew up maybe with people pleasers as parents. It's foreign to consider them if you feel like you're a yes person, and no matter what, you're a yes person, because even yes people need to say no. And the more you operate with a few no's, you'll start to attract energy that is really all about that yes. You'll start to invite opportunities and experiences in that you really want to say yes to. But if one day you say, yeah, I'd love to go on a hike with you, sure, and you absolutely hate hiking, you're going to keep getting hiking invitations. You'll have to keep spraining your ankle to get out of it, or the car's broken, you can't get to the mountain. When you actually just need to say, I don't love to hike. Can we go to a yoga class? Can we play pickleball? It doesn't really matter. Maybe you don't even like to exercise. It's all about what actually works for you. And when you become willing to share that, to stand in the discomfort of others, there's a newfound and deeply real freedom that costs you nothing. Literally, it is $0 to live differently. So if you are afraid of money, if you're afraid of what it would mean to really feel that, you get to just say no. It is the same amount of syllables as yes. No works the same. It's a pretty cut and dry answer. And you can fancy it up, you can dress it up, you can make it sound nicer. But if your no is no, it's just as powerful as your yes. So your boundaries are badass, and if they don't exist, you can build them.